And welcome to Weekly Reset.
Yes, Evitel's wondrous wisdom show, bringing you all the latest WoW news and knowledge. When did you last see him?
We lost track of each other like 2 months ago.
This is terrible. You can be everywhere.
Knowledge is power.
There was a Q&A this week. Ian and Law were back again for another round of punishment, talking mostly 7.3. And before we do anything else at all, let me just say, nice t-shirt, Ian. I'm not even joking, okay? That is a good t-shirt. Well played. We're off to a good start, and you know how much I love these Q&As, obviously, because we have a chance to spend over an hour listening to the thoughts and opinions of someone who is instrumental in the development of this game, whose thoughts and whims shape the very world that we spend our time in. Someone who literally decides who lives, who dies, who's viable, who's trash, what fucking planet we fight our battles on. Someone who matters. Oh, and Law, obviously. Oh, that's just cruel. I'm sorry, because I don't even mean it. Yes, sure, Law may look like what would happen if one of your younger sister's troll dolls went on tour with Stained, but the role he plays in the WoW community is really important, and he's clearly brilliant at his job as well. Even stuff that I've made fun of him for before is getting noticeably better. Like, these Q&As are a lot more professional these days.
It's hard as a... I'm sorry, this is a funny sentence to me. It's hard as a casual Mythic raider.
I mean, generally, they're a bit more professional. And credit where it's due, Law is a legit pro interviewer these days. Like, the way he pretends he's learning stuff for the first time when Ian says it.
That sounds pretty awesome. That all sounds really awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Loving your work, Law. But anyway, down to what was actually discussed. And disclaimer, if you spend every single Q&A on the edge of your seat waiting for them to talk about legacy servers, then as usual, it sucks to be you. Sorry. But if you're interested in 7.3 developments and devs' thoughts on what went wrong in 7.2, then you have come to the right place. Because what I like about these Q&As is that they really don't shy away from some of the more awkward questions that the community is asking. So we had another admission that they paced content wrong in 7.2 and promises that there is a ton of actual storyline quests available from the start in 7.3, with the whole lot being available over the course of just 3 weeks rather than 11 like on the Broken Shore. We've been promised that this story content is awesome, and someone that's played through plenty of it on the PTR, I can confirm he's not lying. We had them address those rumblings that maybe a reintroduction of reforging would help combat the RNG on items a bit by saying that no, that definitely won't happen, for reasons I think most people can get on board with. The problem with reforging or upgrading, which is another thing people have been talking about after Bellular's recent video. I'm not talking recent in Bellular terms, obviously, because there's been like another 100 since then. I mean recent in Taliesin and Evitel terms. Is that you loot a new item and it's not finished yet. You think, this would be great when I've reforged and upgraded it. I'm with Ian, that's not fun. We had the quite sad news that the team are done creating artifact appearances. I mean, it makes sense. We're coming to the final straight of this expansion, and there are already plenty out there to collect, but honestly, artifact appearances are one of my genuine favourite things in WoW, and I personally think that pushing purely cosmetic skins as genuine rewards in-game should be something the devs are looking at a lot more in the future. There was also clarification that time-walking raid lockouts will be fixed for future events, plus some really interesting insights into LFR, and the idea of certain mechanics being removed from that difficulty entirely in Tomb of Sargeras, which has left lots of players a bit confused.
Yes, there's some extreme examples, like Desolate Host doesn't have Desolate Host in Raid Finder. Maybe went a bit too far there, but...
But Ian's explanation is something that I am entirely on board with, and actually something I've often said on this show, just saying. For me, the perfect LFR boss has one mechanic that you have to follow or you die. So you don't have to learn the entire boss fight, it's still easy, but there is one thing in each fight that can kill you if you don't do it right. That's why I've always argued that Elegon in Mists of Pandaria was the perfect LFR boss. Because, you just pew pew quite happily, but if you don't get off that floor when it disappears, then you will die. And so for me, it's awesome to hear Ian say that essentially he agrees with me, just saying. And that has been their exact thinking with Tomb LFR bosses. that it's better to have a pared down boss with one ability that you actually have to deal with, rather than a boss that has all the same abilities as higher difficulty levels, but which you then have to render completely arbitrary, because, you know, it's LFR. I am totally behind this kind of thinking going forward, and now I'm going to stop talking about LFR. There was some meditation on what could be done to rein in the frankly out of control amount of split raids that top guilds feel compelled to do, even if there weren't really any answers. And a promise that Worgen and Goblin model revamps will definitely happen, definitely. So make the most of this face, guys, because you'll miss this face when it's gone, just like you miss cod liver oil and 4:3 aspect monitors. But by far the most important issue that was discussed in terms of how it will immediately impact us as players were to do with how catch-up mechanics will work on Argus, because it's good news for your alts. Basically, pretty much everything is becoming account-wide in 7.3. So from patch 7.3, your third relic slot will unlock automatically as soon as you hit 110. You no longer have to finish your Order Hall campaign to access it. You no longer have to complete the Broken Shore questline to progress your artifact past 34 points. The extra circle of awesomeness is something that's yours automatically. There will be super catch-up tokens from missions and quests that will bring the item level of your followers up to speed quickly. And of course, automatic level 41 artifact knowledge when you hit 100, with automatic weekly increases after that, which are all sensible changes to content that you've already played. But that thinking is being taken into content that you haven't played too, because most of the Argus content unlocks in 7.3 are also going to be account-wide, including, most importantly, travel points and subzones, but also the dungeon, the seat of the Triumvirate, most world quests, and the Netherlight Crucible. And there was big clarification on the Netherlight Crucible, which we will definitely talk about properly nearer the time. I would do it right now, but this may not sound major, but as anyone that has played through Suramar with multiple characters will agree, this is good fucking news, okay? Anyone who, like me, has completed the Legion Fall campaign on every single class just to get the sweet-ass mounts will agree, this is really, really fucking good news, alright? Like, this is the Zac Efron Akira remake has been cancelled level good fucking news. And it means that there can finally be no doubt Legion is officially alt-friendly, everyone. Because this has been a cross that Legion has borne from the very start, and one of the things that people will undoubtedly associate with this expansion when they look back on it in years to come. This idea that Legion is alt-unfriendly, an assessment that I've personally always disagreed with, because it limits the term alt-friendly to only mean that an alt is raid-ready. There's no doubt that in the first couple of months, artifact progression and the scarcity of legendaries did make it difficult to have your off-specs at the same level as your main, let alone having a whole alt at that level, let alone the multiple alts that cutting-edge guilds might demand. But as I've said on this show before, I disagree with that being the sole definition of alt-friendly. For me, the class-specific content in Legion, the Order Hall campaigns, artifacts, class mounts, make playing an alt so much more varied, so much fresher and more engaging that even if it takes more work to level an alt, it's more fun than ever before, and therefore, actually, much easier. And for me, Legion is the definition of an alt-friendly expansion for that reason. I know lots of people disagree. And anyway, it doesn't even matter, because under any definition, Legion is now as alt-friendly as it comes. Any new level 110 character you have can go from 0 artifact power to being at current levels within a few days. Won't have to complete the vast majority of story content that you've done on your main, and basically the only unlocks that aren't going to be shared over all of your characters are prestige levels, and you know, that's PvP, which you don't give a shit about anyway, so give a fuck, happy days!
The 7.3 PTR continues to look more and more like a patch, which is basically ready to go at any time, with more raid testing this week for Antorus the Burning Throne, the raid which, apart from sounding like a euphemism for the morning after an especially spicy meal, don't forget is 7.3.5 content. Hazelnutty Games has a great stream on her channel where she takes on some of those bosses if you're the kind of person who absolutely hates surprises. And if you just want a sneak peek at what the raid looks like without spoiling anything about the fights themselves, then our friend Mrgamesmaster Reviews has an awesome walk around of the environments on his channel, where you can just enjoy a pleasant tour of the very center of all demon power without having to worry about any actual pesky demons turning up and ruining everything. It's kind of like a Dear Esther version of the raid. I like it. And it shows us what we have to look forward to in Antorus. It's green, it's red, it's dark and demony, but wait, it's also pristine and titany, and it's also in fucking space, of course. Now, this heavenly location is where we will find Eonar the Lifebinder, who... Hang on. Okay. Blizzard, I think it's time we had a serious conversation about boobs. Because I love boobs. I'm sure you love boobs too. And Warcraft boobs look great. Good work. But there's some seriously fucked up physics going on here. And I'm down with boob physics, okay? But this lady is standing still right now, and her boobs are jumping around like she's playing tennis or something. Mind you, they're both sort of moving in the same direction. She doesn't have the weird Sylvanas thing of her boobs moving in different directions while she's standing still. An affliction that seems to be a genetic defect in the Windrunner family, because Illyria has it too. Her boobs look like a pair of chameleon's eyes that have both spotted something interesting on opposite sides of the room. You are making boobs weird, Blizz. Just like you made kindly old men weird. Someone get these animators some proper boobs to look at. Embrace the boob, as it were. And mount news. You might remember that last week Taliesin said this.
So I don't think, am I right in saying there hasn't been a single store mount since Legion launched?
Which was right, obviously, because Taliesin is always right. He was right for an entire 6 hours before Blizzard launched their new store mount and pet. Say hello to the Luminous Starseeker mount and Twilight the kitten. They'll set you back £19 and £9 individually, or £27 for the pair, which is obviously outrageous and a total rip-off, and obviously I've already bought them both because I need them, for research purposes. I've spent quite a lot of time with them, and I can confirm that yes, they work. I mean, they change color. I can confirm they change color. And they're super cute. I give them 27 pounds out of 10. Would change color again. And now over to Taliesin, who's going to talk about how stupid he felt when they added a store mount a couple of hours after he was praising them for not releasing a store mount.
Oh yeah, I felt like a dick. But there's more to it than that, because when I talked last week about how there hadn't been a store mount in Legion, I meant it as genuine praise. For me, it was an example of how Blizzard are desperately trying to do everything right in Legion, because whenever a store mount is released, it does always, inevitably, raise accusations of milking the player base. In WoD, it was taking the piss, frankly, at times when there was so little content to be playing through that it felt like the only new models being added to the game were ones that you had to buy from a cash shop. But in fairness, things are different this time around. For a start, the one thing you can't accuse Legion of is a lack of content. This mount is added to the store just after the 12 unique class mounts and their recolors have been added to the game, and just as a whole ton of new in-game mounts are being revealed for 7.3. Unlike Warlords of Draenor, the Luminous Starseeker does not feel like it's taking the place of in-game content, but existing alongside it. A view that it was good to see the community agrees with, and the reveal of this mount was met with genuine enthusiasm, as well as excitement and appreciation of the fact that no, it was a shit show, obviously. Activision Blizzard has no shame. More in-game mounts, less store pounce, money whores. Just when I thought the cancer that was the store mounts was finally over, this happens. I can't afford to spend money on it. I pay to play this game already. Why should I be left out? Okay, let's look at that last one for a moment, because it used to be a very good point that up until recently, I would have been totally behind. I personally don't like the idea of any in-game items being behind a paywall for a game that I pay a monthly subscription for. As long as the items are purely cosmetic, as has always been the case with WoW, then I don't mind it much, but I don't like it, and it doesn't sit well with me. It feels greedy. However, this is an argument really isn't valid anymore, is it? Since the WoW token can be exchanged for Battle.net account balance, we can use in-game gold for anything in the store. You can use it to pay your subscription, to realm transfer, to buy Destiny 2 for fuck's sake, and you can use it to buy this mount, as well as any other mount or pet on the store, and it's really not all that much. If you're on a US server, you're looking at around 260,000 gold. It's not nothing, but are you seriously telling me that farming 260k gold in-game is harder than killing Argus the Unbreaker on mythic difficulty, or heroic difficulty, or any of the things that you'll have to do to get one of the nearly 30 other mounts that are arriving in 7.3. All of these arguments and criticisms made sense like a year ago, but since the WoW token, the cash shop doesn't really exist, does it?
So did you use your gold for the mount?
No, I bought it with cash.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely. I need my in-game gold, man. I need for constant name changes and race changes.
Like hourly transmog changes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a girl.
I have characters that I race change and name change like almost daily. It feels like
Yeah.
because I get bored
That's
of
not
certain
an
character models and
exaggeration.
stuff. No, I do. My shaman is the worst. I make him an orc, I call him Orgrim, and I get bored of it, and I make it. It's like I don't know. I can't settle with my shaman or my hunter for that matter. Currently a dwarf, won't be for much longer. Anyway, it costs a lot of money, costs a lot of gold, mate. So I've got to keep that going. What else is happening in game this week?
The Soultakers are up.
The world bosses.
Yes, so the 3 dudes on the night island
In the middle of nowhere.
distance.
Yeah,
yeah,
like-
that you just have to like fly to.
Oh man, because
slowly.
I've still got
slowly.
characters that don't have that flight point for some reason.
I don't
So-
think any of mine have it.
No, exactly. So like
It's
every
like-
time I want to go and kill the Soultakers, it feels like it takes about 1,000,000 years
Yeah.
to get there, and it's not always worth it.
Yeah, but it is if you are a Frost DK and you want to get your hidden appearance.
I did that this week
Did you?
with the Soultakers. Yeah, I went out and I got my hidden appearance, and I know only noobs play Frost DK these days.
It's true.
Because it's trash, mate, and if you play it, you're trash.
Yeah.
But I like it. And
Is it
the,
trash?
yeah, totally. And the Soultakers hidden appearance is, I think, my favourite of the Frost DK
It's a pretty good
artifact
one.
appearances.
Yeah,
Because it's like
yeah.
it's 3 times longer than your other appearances. Like the swords are just massive. And what did we miss in game this week while you were too ill to do anything
Oh, it
apart
was so
from
sad.
moan?
It was
When you were
so
too busy
sad.
you were too ill to do anything apart from ask for tea.
We missed. Well, we didn't quite miss it. We just got the end of it. We got the Tavern Crawl. I always want to say Tavern Brawl.
Yeah, it's because you spent
But
too much time in Swansea. It's
just
one and the same thing there.
Friday
But,
night.
Yeah, the Kirin Tor Tavern Crawl.
Yeah.
Was the weekly holiday last week.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I thought it was fun. I
having
put
fun
on
and stuff.
hats.
Well, this is the thing. This is the thing that like elevated it above any like
Hats elevate
little
everything.
boxes with hats that you could just
Yeah.
gather.
Yeah.
And I found a good hat and I stuck with it all night. And I got the old bubble machine out, the little toy that did the
Nice.
bubbles and stuff. And it was
Nice.
good fun. I had a really good time.
Yeah, I think we portaled like twice.
Yeah, our fun was cut short because we did the thing that we often do. We're an hour ahead of server time here. And we
Yeah.
always do this. And then suddenly it stopped and the party was over. I was like, what? I don't understand. We've still got an hour to go, surely.
Yeah, it was sad, but it was that really nice thing. And we were like out in this lovely like night elf house. And then like the party was over and people kind of drunkenly stumbled onto the balcony and looked at the stars
It was
together.
like
It was
a
really-
party.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
which
the
was
party's
over.
over.
And the party was over. But we want to do a little shout out to Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie the dog. Farewell, friend.
Charlie's not our dog. He's a viewer's dog. And we hope everything was okay, guys. If you like this episode, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to help support this channel.
They're the bomb.
Guys, these lights, they're on because of you.
Yeah.
That's why we have electricity. And all these videos are made possible by them. So thank you so much. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. And remember, our name is...
And Bonnie Wow.
It's not, unless you didn't like the video. So from me, Taliesin.
And me, Evitel.
Until next time,
Bye.
cheerio.